I really try and stay away from these trending stories, but the algorithm game is the algorithm game, and I'm just going to say that I'm making this because I do have thoughts on this. I try not to be that guy that goes along with trends, but that's how the internet game works, and it's kind of dumb at this point to lie to myself and say that I shouldn't get in on this, but I'm just being as transparent as possible. And that plays into the theme of this video because I'm pretty sure everyone knows about what's going on with the Liver King. Everybody is making a video on this. Now, do I like making videos off of someone's quote unquote downfall? Not really, but I don't really think there's going to be much of a downfall from this. In fact, I'm honestly convinced that a lot of people are going to forget about it because like I watched the dude's apology video and it was literally him rubbing it in everybody's face. And what I want to say about this is that like people need to be skeptical about these giant salesmen on the internet. Not really giant in a steroids way, but just these big names that pop up and have a message, which some of the messages I can agree with for the most part. You got a lot of these guys like Andrew Tate, how he preaches how guys should be like more stand up ish and everything like that, but then he'll go kind of down the rabbit hole, which actually is blatant misogyny, which I'm not a fan of. And it's almost like the Liver King, where like you go back to basics and you see things like how he lives his life in his very primal way. And I'm a very big fan of like classic farming, like raw milk, treating your animals right, not industrializing the food growing process. And basically, I'm a huge fan of self sufficiency overall, but when you have a guy making as big of a name as he was for himself and then it's shrouded in controversy like it is now, one that makes people like me who want to see authentic change to where we can bring what was good about the past to the modern era to help our generation. Because I consider myself a half boomer in a sense where I want to see guys be strong. I want to see, classic farming methods and agriculture be brought over because I feel like the digital age has really taken over. And I also feel like a lot of guys are kind of like becoming more frail, not to sound macho, but that's a good way to put it. But when we have talking heads like this who are selling their brand on false pretenses and people keep falling for it, part of me does want to blame the people who fell for it because there were warning signs. But we live in an era where we have a lot of people who are looking for authentic answers because they really want to know how to better themselves. And they're hungry for information, they're hungry for mentorship, and they're hungry for just everything of the above. And there's a select few people who have apparently no principle who want to take advantage of the populace's like quote unquote weakness. I know that's a strong word to use for what is going on, but we have a generation that has lacked guidance, like proper guidance for a while. And I want to see actual guidance come so we can come together and actually have a direction as a society. And when you see like alleged fraud on like this scale and how a platform like this was built, it's bad because then it gives people this sense that there is no way to actually better themselves, or there is no way to actually get authentic help, or there's no hope out there. And I'm a fan of hope. I'm not a fan of false hope. But I empathize with people who feel lost in today's day and age. I really do. And there's times where guys like the Liver King and the Tate brothers and guys like Sneeko can say things that I can agree with, but when it becomes apparent that guys like that apparently have like this just a persona, and sometimes some of them have gone back on some of the things they say and corrected it, which I can tip my hat off to. But when it gets taken as such an extreme, it makes people looking for an alternative method look crazy, and then it makes people looking for hope or like a way of bettering themselves think that there is none because everyone out there is out to get them. And that's not a healthy mindset to put society in. Because I really just don't want to make this a Liver King video. I want to bring this to the bigger issue that I see again and again, where it's big public figure comes out, stirs up a bunch of controversy, gets all these clicks, and then controversy about them comes out. And then, quote unquote, more division. Because what if there's someone who thinks that, yeah, maybe I do need to take some steroids in order to get that big naturally? When was he really just putting on a camera and eating like raw liver or whatever he was doing in a frame by frame and making a movie, and then going back to a comfortable state of living when he's off the camera? Because that's something I'm very curious about. I can't confirm or deny it, but it makes me wonder certain things. But like, I really want to kind of leave this video off as a message though, because I made my point on why I'm upset, because this brings me back to the bigger issue of how people take advantage of a lost society and sell them snake oil. And I don't mind making money off of selling stuff, because, you know, sales is a very important part of any economy or society. But when you're selling snake oil and you're selling a false brand and a false front, you're hurting everybody in the process, especially yourself. When I see someone make it big or become successful because they made a product, I want them to have an authentic product, and I want them to be transparent. That's why I started this video off with why I'm doing this video. 2 reasons. This is how I actually feel about the situation. And 2, this is good for my algorithm. So, okay. And I really want to practice what I'm preaching over here. My message to people who want to actually better their life and find alternative ways of living, especially in a despair era that we're living in now. My authentic message would be, don't stop trying to better your life, but have your own opinions. Be skeptical over big heads, because like I said, a lot of these guys out on the internet who make it big, I agree with some of the things they say and parts of their message. I don't like to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but to idolize them and think that they're infallible or perfect, like trying to find a word for it is just hard. But when you idolize these guys and make them seem like they're all, because guys like Andrew Tate are human, they've got flaws. Guys like Liver King are human, they got flaws. Guys like Sneeko are human, they've got flaws. All these huge names who are bringing these controversial topics to light. Like, agree with whatever you want to agree with them on, like I said, but pick and choose what you're going to take from their sales pitch is what I'm saying. Is because not only shame on some of these guys if they're using false pretenses for selling you these things, but we have to be more responsible over what we give into and what we take hold of. And that's just holding ourselves accountable. I'm not saying it's all our fault for falling for it. But I think having a more skeptical society that doesn't get fooled and has more transparency and more honor behind it is how we're going to gain trust between citizen and citizen, talking head and the listener, public figure and the normal person, between everybody, because we live in a low trust society because of situations like this, where there actually is authentic reasons to distrust these people who have these different messages, because you don't know if they're actually being serious or they're actually just trying to stir up controversy and get their name out there, because all publicity is good publicity. But that's all I have to say about that. I really hope that if anyone was let down by this guy, that, you know, don't give up hope, continue working out, continue pushing, continue eating healthy, be your own person, man. But, you know, we got to be more careful about this. And, you know, like I said, shame on these guys for doing what they did, if they're selling you snake oil or if they're trying to scam people, because we've seen a lot of scams in the past couple years like this, and it's because there are people who are looking for guidance or looking for ways to better their life. And, you know, preying on someone in a vulnerable spot like that is horrible. But, you know, I wish there was a way that we could authentically solve this. But that's all I got to say about that. I'll see you guys next time.